It is lunchtime, and the typical American go-to lunch is usually a sandwich. But how do you make a sandwich that isn't a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, that doesn't have meat or dairy? There are so many other delicious options that I want to show you. Here are my top 3 favorite vegan sandwiches. We'll start by making avocado toast with pickled onions. So we'll first start by slicing up our red onion. And then we'll put in 1/4 of a cup of water into our jar. 3/4 of a cup of apple cider vinegar. You'll do 1 teaspoon of salt, and then about 1 to 3 tablespoons of your favorite sweetener. So it could be maple syrup or just plain old sugar. Again, this is just the brine. Then you'll add in your onions. I'm gonna separate them a little bit so that they can all submerge. And shake it up. I'm going to add a little bit more vinegar. All right, let this sit for about 30 minutes. You can put it in your fridge. This will last you this will last you a long time, over a week for sure. And so you'll use these for a while to come. Sandwiches are always better toasted. For the bread for all of my sandwiches, I just use 100% whole wheat. While the bread is cooking, I'll slice up my tomato and then slice up my avocado. The key to what I think makes for good avocado toast is hummus. I always put hummus as the base. It just adds more flavor. I think it makes it taste better. Then we'll add the avocados. Then we layer on the tomatoes. Then I always like to sprinkle everything but the bagel seasoning on top. That's what makes it so good and beautiful. I just add in a little bit of some sauerkraut, and this has sauerkraut and beets, which is why it's red. Just a little bit. A nibble is enough to experience the benefits of sauerkraut. Again, this is a fermented food, which is really good for your gut microbiome. Ideally, you will have wanted the onions to be in that brine for at least 30 minutes before you add them to your sandwich. Next is the typical veggie sandwich. Now, what makes this veggie sandwich kick is the sauce, the dressing, right? That's where the flavor comes from. That's what I love. So I want to show you my favorite sauce for sandwiches. It is a little spicy, so if you don't like spice, you can easily make a veggie sandwich without it. But here is our Chipotle tahini dressing. Instead of oil, we use aquafaba, which is the liquid in a can of chickpeas. So I'm going to use 1/2 cup of that aquafaba. Perfect, so 1/2 cup here. 1/2 teaspoon of salt, so just 1/2 teaspoon here. Now the aquafaba already has some salt in there, so then we'll do 1/4 cup of tahini. And we have 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder and the juice of 1 orange. So I had to quarter my orange to put it in my lemon juicer. But that entire orange I'll add to it. Chipotle in adobe sauce, this is what makes this spicy. I actually really just love the sauce. So you could even, if you don't like a lot of spice, there's so much flavor in just the sauce. So I just kind of squeeze out as much sauce as I can. So yummy. That adobe sauce is so good. I'm just gonna do 1, otherwise it gets a little too spicy. And then blend. I'm gonna add just a dash of maple syrup to this just to sweeten it up a little bit. When I go to Subway, I always order the Veggie Delight with the Chipotle mayo. Now, the mayo is not the healthiest thing to choose, but I do like making this Chipotle sauce as my dressing when I'm making things at home. It's similar, but it has a little bit more of a smoky flavor. It's really yummy to add to a veggie sandwich. So let's put the sandwich together. Toast the bread. All right, as with every sandwich, I start off with some hummus. Okay, then with the toppings, I always think, what does Subway offer? Well, Subway will offer you cucumbers and tomatoes, peppers, maybe some mushrooms, spinach. I like the spice. I like the sauce. I'm gonna go ahead and add that in now. And lastly, let's make a tuna sandwich out of chickpeas. Let's add our can of chickpeas that have been rinsed and drained. And then 1/4 a cup of either like a vegan mayo, or I actually prefer to just use a yogurt or a cashew cream, and it's 1/4 a cup. And you can do that, or any type of unsweetened plant yogurt works too. And then about a teaspoon of Dijon mustard. Smash that up a little bit with a potato smasher. Then we will add about 1/4 a cup of red onions, about 1/2 a cup of celery. I like celery, so you can totally add less. And then I have about 2 teaspoons of capers. Capers is the secret ingredient that will add the flavor that we need to make this actually feel like a tuna sandwich. Now I try to really chop those capers really small. I'm just gonna add everything but the bagel seasoning instead of salt and pepper because I add it to everything. It definitely has that tuna vibe with the capers. It's kind of amazing. We'll grab some lettuce first and the tuna. Why settle for a boring peanut butter and jelly sandwich when you can have one of these? If you like these recipes, make sure to check out our free meal guide in the link below.